Hello again. This will be, I think, my 6th video now. I mentioned in my last video that there was a strong possibility that I would be going to prison. Now, that's a possibility, and I will explain that a bit further as time goes on. But today I'd like to revisit again this very pernicious phrase that always comes up in these in the security versus privacy versus freedom versus state control argument, and that is the ubiquitous phrase that if you've nothing to fear, if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to fear. Now, this is very resilient, this phrase. And as I said before, it's very difficult to combat, but it can be done. It's just not so easy. As a sound bite, it's very difficult to counteract, and that's where its power comes from. But I was thinking that, as Edward Snowden has said, that saying if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to fear, is very similar to saying that I don't care about my privacy because I've got nothing to hide. It's the same as saying I don't care about free speech because I have nothing to say. And I think that's very valid. And I wanted to extend it a little bit into other areas. Because what you're saying in this instance, if you parrot out this phrase, you're saying I don't care about my own privacy, so you shouldn't care about yours, because I've decided that it's okay for the government to watch me wherever I go, watch me on CCTV cameras, track movements of my car, peer into all my personal correspondence on my computer, because I've decided that's okay for me, that it should be okay for you. That because I don't value my privacy, you're not allowed to either. And so what that's really saying is that I have rights that I don't care about, so you're not allowed to care about them either. And so if we extrapolate that to other areas of life, you could say, well, and probably that you wouldn't, you could say, well, I don't care about racism because I'm not black. You know, who cares about racism if you're not black? Or I don't care about domestic violence because I'm not a battered wife. Or I don't care about paedophilia because I'm not a child. Or I don't care about old people freezing to death and starving to death in their homes because I'm not old. So at the base of this phrase is it's saying that I don't care whose right you infringe, so long as it's not a right that I care about. So it's essentially a very selfish point of view. It's not very social. It's not concerned with your fellow citizen. So it's a very mean-spirited viewpoint on the world. And this is the way society is, this is the direction society is heading in. And it has been heading in that way for quite some time. Normally in terms of economics, with the rise of neocon conservative economics and individualism, which is particularly prevalent in Britain and United States, and other countries like it. It's not so notable in Europe particularly. So it's this idea of removing any sort of collective responsibility, that, you know, I'm not going to stand up for your rights because I don't see why I should have to. But it does ask the question, if you're not going to stand up for somebody else's rights, who's going to stand up for yours when you need it? It's the old phrase about the Holocaust, isn't it? That first they came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew, so I did not stand up. I did not speak out. Then they came for the trade unions, I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak out for me. Also at the base of that phrase, if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to fear, is an assumption of a benign state, a good government that's looking after its citizens. Now we know that regimes change. In 1933, Germany was one of the most progressive societies on earth. And it did a 180-degree U-turn. And we got the Nazis. Or rather, the Germans got the Nazis, and several other people got them, several other countries got them as well. But you could, if you were Jewish in 1933, you could say, well, I've nothing to hide, so I've nothing to fear. But all of a sudden, you hadn't done anything wrong. You hadn't protested against the government, you hadn't done anything illegal. You were a normal member of society. And overnight, you were in trouble. So laws change. Suddenly, you were less than a citizen. And then less, and then less, and then less. So, this phrase, as powerful as it is, can be combated. And it needs to be combated. And it is the thing that we must always focus our attention on. Everybody's always got something to hide. And it may just be something embarrassing or shameful, but not necessarily illegal. It may just be something that is slightly frowned upon by society. But as free citizens, we should be allowed to indulge in behaviour which is frowned upon by society, so long as it's not illegal. So we need always to be mindful of this phrase and combat it whenever we can. I'll see you next time.